Hi, everybody. Jill Allen here. I am so excited to be able to bring you another little presentation in my mini series called Traction. And today we're going to be talking about what do we do from an office standpoint when we are ready to start bringing our employees back. And I know that many practices have had to let employees go over the past 6 weeks, and we are starting to hear from our governors and from our president that it sounds like some of the restrictions are going to be lifted. And for many of us, we could be seeing patients within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So, what does that mean for us as a business owner, for us as an orthodontist, as we are looking at bringing back key people into our practice? And one of the things that I thought would be really good for us to talk about is just getting prepared and taking an opportunity to spend just a little bit of time before we rush right back in and hire back all of our employees, is that we take some time to appreciate that we've had a little bit of a pause and that we can maybe look at some areas that we haven't had a chance or didn't have a chance to look at before. And one of the areas that I think is going to be really important is looking at, are you prepared when you bring your employees back? Have you thought about what you want maybe your new core values or the culture of your practice to be? And as we've been working through this book, and like I said, I've been reading this book, Traction by Gino Wickman. I've read it multiple times, but I was kind of rereading through this. And in chapter number 4, I thought he had a really good few sentences of a quote here. And he says, "The right people are the ones who share your company's core values." So when you're looking at bringing new people into your practice, whether it's existing team members or new ones that you're going to be hiring, we want to be looking for people that share our company's core values. They fit and thrive in your culture. They are the people you enjoy being around and who make your organization a better place to be. And I think that is exactly what we need to be thinking about. I don't want you being reactive to, oh my gosh, I got to hurry up and get everybody rehired on again. But I want you to take just a few minutes and think about, do I know what my core values are for my business? Do I know what my core values are? Are they current? Do they make sense? Did I come up with these when I started my business years ago or just a year ago? Who knows? But when I bring people on into my practice, are they going to be the values that people see? And one of the things that I think is so important is, when I was looking at doing this as as a business owner, I took some time to really write down, and I'm going to just, kind of go through those with you to really write down what were the core values of my business and what did that, what do those look like? And one of the few of the core values that I have is, I had that I want my team to be helpful to everyone and in everything. I want them to be honest. I want them to be honest in their assessment of situations. So when we're working with clients, I want them to speak honestly to our clients if there's an issue or things that we need to be working on. I want them to take ownership and help teams succeed. I want them to take a very practical approach to practice management. That's been a core value of mine since I started my business. I want people to understand very easily how to run their business. I want my team members to be problem solvers, and I want them to be dependable. I want them to know that our word is our bond. And I think as a business owner, you need to set up some core values if you don't have those already. And then when you're looking at those core values and you're looking at in the next couple of weeks bringing team members back on, make sure that you're hiring people back that fit what your values are and what your culture is, and that you're making sure that people understand this. We get a reset. We don't get this very often in life. And right now we get to hit that reset button, and you get to determine the future of your practice. And maybe things weren't going exactly the way you wanted before this reset, but now's your chance to make a change and to make it better. So I want you to take the time before you just reactively jump back in. Take the time for change. The next thing that I want you to be thinking about is, and I know this is really basic, but When was the last time you updated your handbook? You've got a little bit of time. We're going to be rehiring people into your practice. So, is now the time to update your handbook? Maybe the handbook that you had in place is 20 years old or 15 years old. Maybe it's time to go to a bigger company and actually have somebody put together a good handbook for you. Now's the time to make the change. You're going to have all these employees coming back online. It does not have to be as it was in the past. You can give them a new handbook. You can tell them the new benefits. You're rehiring for most practices out there. You're rehiring everybody into your practice. So now's the time to make the change. Now's the time to really talk about what your new expectations will be as a business owner opening up after the shutdown here. The other thing that I think is important is to make sure that have you learned something through this COVID-19 shutdown that maybe opened your eyes to say, gosh, I should have had a policy in place about this or that. I need to really rethink how my full-time employees are paid or what benefits are paid or this, that, or the other. So now's the time to do it. Now's the time to take the time and just update that handbook. If you've got questions, you can always reach out to my company, reach out to your payroll companies. There's just so many tools and resources out there for you right now. Now that we are ready to bring back a team, I think that as doctors, you have to really be thinking about your team may be coming back differently than when they left. So just because you're ready to work 12-hour days and just because you're ready to work 5 or 6 or 7 days a week doesn't mean that your team members are going to be. And I think that there's a lot of unknown factors that could make it hard on some of your teams to come back that I think you need to think about. So right now, we may be opening up and letting businesses open back up again, but many of our team members still have kids at home that are doing school. Schools aren't open, but daycares may not be open. So what will our team members need in order to be able to come back and work for us and still manage what's happening with school-aged kids? Some of the things that I'm suggesting that my clients look at are maybe there's some opportunity for some job sharing. So maybe you've got team members that would take turns babysitting for each other's kids, or one would take a morning shift because their husband can watch the kids, and another one can take an afternoon shift. So I want you to think outside of the box of what is it going to look like initially getting your practice back online. I want you to evaluate your schedules and finding out what employees are going to be able to do. You just may have an employee that just says, I just don't feel like even though I know the office is opening up right now, that I am in a position where I can come back. Or maybe they happen to be an immune compromised employee and they just don't feel like, even with the resources and the tools that you're going to give them to stay safe, they just don't feel like it's a safe environment. So are there some jobs, maybe they're a person that worked insurance and you could still have them work from home, or maybe you consider outsourcing your front desk and having them answering, phones from their home office or whatnot. I just really want you thinking about this because I do think it's not going to be as easy as many doctors think to just bring everybody right back online and have it work the way it used to work in the past. So think about daycare availability, your overhead. What are you going to do from a staggered schedule standpoint? All of those different things. And then the other thing that I think is important is now is the time. Remember, we've got this reset. Now's the time to really look at employee roles. Who do you actually need in the practice right now? Do you need a team of 20? Do you need a team of 10? How many assistants do you really need to how many chairs are you really going to be seeing at a time? What does everybody's job duties look like? Did the job duties that they had, were they up to date in the first place? Hopefully you've taken some time to update them, but if not, do you need to update those? And how are you going to fill those roles? And maybe are there still some out of the box roles that we can be thinking about and implementing as we are starting to bring our practices back online? Again, this is your time to reset. This is your time to change before you rush back in and bring all of your employees back in again. Okay. Next thing that I think is very important is I want you, and this is something I talk a lot about with my clients, but now's the time to really think about pay structures. And I know that this is a little bit difficult if you've had, employees that were there in the past, that you're going to bring back. More than likely, to probably bring them back at their same pay. But if you're bringing on new employees and if you're bringing new people into your practice, maybe now is the time to really evaluate what is your pay structure and why is it set up the way it is. And I really feel like we need to have, just within our own industry, a better pay scale. And I'm going to show you an example of this, but I really think it's good to evaluate for each of the core roles within your position. You should have different levels of experience within that position. So I think we need to have pay ranges and certain criterias that employees meet. So if they know that they're hiring for a front desk position, I'm just using that as an example, and we say, our entry level starts at $16 and you're going to top out at $22, at least an employee knows what the range is, and then we're going to give them levels to get to the point. So it isn't just this random every year they expect a raise, or just randomly, well, I think I'm doing a good job, doctor, so why aren't you giving me a raise? So I think that now is the time to really think about, can I get a more specific pay structure in place so that stress isn't on me as a doctor every year to have to give raises, whether, or to give people certain pay ranges when they're just kind of, maybe there really hasn't ever been a reason for why you pay people what you do. And I think it's really important that we make sure that we talk about that positions will top out. And I think once a position tops out, then it's up to practice growth or bonuses or different things to help, continue to help an employee potentially make more money in the practice. So let's talk just a little bit. I just want to kind of show you an example. I really believe, and I just used an assistant training as an example here, but I really believe that having a level. So for instance, if a newer employee hires in, and they're kind of a base level, I think we need to have a pay range that we hire them in for. And there needs to be a certain set of procedures that they know how to do. And as they learn, they get increases. And once they hit that level, they know where they top out at. And it's up to them to move to the next level. If they don't want to move to the next level, it's not up to you to continue to give them raises. So, maybe a level 1 assistant entry level makes, and this is very different across the United States, but let's just say they make $16 to $18. And a level 2 assistant, maybe they're making between $18 and $22. And maybe a level 3 assistant is a trainer. It's up to them to start training level 1 and level 2 assistants. It's up to them to manage, more higher end things. And they, depending upon what they're responsible for, works them up to where they top out at. And I just think if we take the time to do some of this now, before we hire on our employees, it's going to take some of that stress out of us as a business owner that, when do I have to give a raise? And I don't think somebody is worth it, but they worked here for so long. I really don't think it should be just how many years somebody works to how much money they make. It really needs to be a skill level aspect of it. And I think that it's okay to, make sure that people understand that there are areas that they will top out at. So that's what I have to talk about today. Our next session, I am going to go into, for a lot of you, you haven't had to hire employees for a while. Some of you may still have employees that are tethered, that they're just a phone call away to say it's time to come back. But others of you are going to have to start putting out employment ads and writing those ads and doing those interviews. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper next week into that and talk about that. Again, if you have any questions, if you need any help, we're always here for you. And I just look forward to seeing you next week.